back, everyone, to Weather for Weather Geeks, the Monday evening edition for the 8th day of November 2021. Hope you had a good weekend. We have not done Weather Geeks since Wednesday because, of course, we did the winter forecast on, on Thursday. And then with quiet weekend weather, we just did not do this video on Friday. We have more things to talk about now as we head into a new work week. But before we get to the forecast for this week and beyond, let's do a quick review of that winter forecast in case you missed it. And in case you haven't viewed it yet, you can view the short version still on wfmj.com/weather. The long version also on our website and also on my weather blog, ericwfmj.com. Head over to my YouTube to find it as well. This is kind of the bottom line when we kind of look for some key takeaways with the winter forecast. We're looking for a pretty cold start to winter, and this even includes late November. I think the second half of November largely will be pretty cold compared to the average, with just some brief warm-ups, but generally speaking, pretty cold stuff. And I think that trend is likely to continue for a fair chunk of December. Not to say it's going to be freezing cold from start to finish in December, but overall, I would expect December to end up below the average temperature-wise. Beyond December, as we go into the new year and mid to late winter, I would expect the pattern to be a little bit more back and forth, and we do have the possibility of some pretty significant thaws during the kind of last two-thirds of winter, January and into February. So cold snaps this winter might be pretty brief, but they could be pretty severe, especially early in the winter season. One of our big analogs this winter is the winter of 2017-2018, which featured some pretty nasty cold right around the holidays from Christmas to New Year's. This is another graphic I showed the other night. Now, some people kind of hard time with this graphic. Generally speaking, people don't like that much nuance. I've talked about this before in some of my videos. People just want to know if it's going to rain tomorrow or not, or if it's going to snow tomorrow or not. When you give a chance or a percentage, things like that, people don't like that kind of nuance a lot of times. But this is the future of weather forecasting, is talking about probabilistic forecasts, the chances of some outcome occurring. Temperature-wise this winter, I think the most likely outcome is that temperatures December through February end up coming out in the wash as right around average, with a somewhat higher chance of it being warmer than average than cooler than average. I'm a little bit concerned about not a repeat of 2011, 2012, but maybe the winter going in that flavor once we get done with December, and that was a very warm winter for us. I'm not real confident of that, but I'm a little bit concerned about it. And overall, the chance of either just a crazy warm blowtorch winter or a severe winter, those chances are pretty low. I don't see much in the analogs or the model data to suggest we have either one of those outcomes coming our way. It's a non-zero chance, but definitely a low chance. Snowfall. Also, I think this probably comes out in the wash as pretty close to average, although the snow forecast is a lower confidence forecast than the temperature forecast, because all you need is a couple of big systems. Even if most of the winter is pretty benign, if you have a couple of blockbuster systems, that's going to yank the numbers way up there, and while it may be conceived as a pretty easy winter, if you get a couple of big systems, you might come in close to your numbers. So that's a lower confidence forecast, but right now, with La Nina and some of the other factors, it doesn't seem all that likely that we would have a really paltry winter snow-wise, unless it turns super warm for an extended period of time. But this winter probably does feature somewhat higher snow totals than last winter, and somewhat colder temperatures. But we're going to do an update on that forecast in early December. The final numbers for October came in today, and all of our surrounding states, with the exception of Kentucky, had a top 5 warm October, and in Ohio and Maryland, it was the warmest October on record. And that's for the entire state. In our area specifically, at the Youngstown Warren Airport, it was the second warmest October on record, just barely behind 1947. We almost tied 1947 for the warmest October on record. Today was the warmest day of November so far, 67. Today we might match this on Thursday. Today and Thursday might be a couple of the warmest temperatures we'll see until sometime in 2022. But yeah, November has definitely been cooler than October so far, but the last couple of days after chilly starts have turned awfully nice with sunshine. We haven't had much wet weather so far in this November, just 0.01 in the rain gauge so far at the airport through the first 8 days of the month. It doesn't look like we'll add much to that until Thursday night. Pretty good chance of showers coming our way Thursday night. Now, depending on how late in the evening you're watching this, the moon and Venus may have already set, but early in the evening hours, nice show in the kind of south-southwest sky with kind of a line drawn from Venus to the moon to Saturn to Jupiter, Last evening, Venus was to the left of the moon, kind of a thin crescent moon, beautiful sight last evening. And this evening, again, earlier the better, you can check out 3 of our bright planets along with the waxing moon. We just had the new moon a few days ago, so it's still a pretty thin crescent. Weather's pretty quiet across the country this evening, with the exception of the west coast. Our next weather maker is not producing much, but this is a cold front. You can barely pick it out on the radar. This is what's going to come through probably with very little fanfare tomorrow night, maybe a stray shower. That'll be about it. Our Tuesday, again, not as cold, not as frosty in the morning. Probably very few people will be scraping tomorrow morning. A few of the cooler nooks might get down to 36, might be just a little light frost. Most of us won't see frost tomorrow morning. We're talking middle and upper 50s by midday and right back to the 60s in the afternoon. Now, the afternoon won't be as bright and sunny as today and yesterday. There'll be a thickening veil of high clouds in the second half of the day. But this front's not going to yield much more than a stray shower, and most of us are asleep tomorrow night. And then I think it's back to sunshine as a little bubble of high pressure pays us a brief visit on Wednesday, and then changes begin. Now, we have one more warm and increasingly breezy day to squeeze out on Thursday. Could be some gusts, maybe 25 or 30 in a few spots Thursday afternoon. We stay dry through the daylight hours, but this is the first of 2 fronts. The first one brings us showers Thursday night. The second is what brings the cool down, big cool down, for the upcoming weekend. I think we'll see snowflakes here and there this weekend. Probably no accumulation, but mixed in with raindrops at times. We'll probably see some lake effect setting up, and maybe we get some accumulations in the primary snow belt. Maybe between Saturday and Monday, someone in the secondary snow belt might have some of the first accumulations of the season. A little too early to pin that down, but yeah, 6 to 10 day outlook. Everywhere east of the kind of the center of the country is looking pretty chilly for at least the first half of next week. Let's finish up this evening taking a look at tonight's run of the European, what we call the weeklies. These are twice a week sets of model data from the European Center, Mondays and Thursday evenings. These go out 46 days. And this is the total precipitation anomaly for the next 46 days. So this actually takes us through Christmas Eve. And so according to this run of the modeling, pretty active pattern coming out of the Pacific, coming into the Pacific Northwest, parts of Canada, and across maybe the northeastern U.S. South of the Great Lakes, though, this looks like a pretty dry overall pattern. It looks like for the next 5 or 6 weeks, taking us up through Christmas time. Not to say every day is going to be dry, but a dry-looking pattern. We might be kind of in between the wet to the north and the dry to the south, but especially south of the Great Lakes does not look particularly active for the next 6 weeks. And that, that's pretty standard La Nina stuff. The farther south you go in a La Nina, the drier it tends to get as we get into the cold air season. Temperature-wise, here's a look at the anomalies as I roll this forward. Here's our cold shot coming in for this weekend into early next week. Temperatures moderate during the second half of next week, but then as we get closer to Thanksgiving, this is the weekend before Thanksgiving and right through Thanksgiving time, you see all the blues across the eastern U.S. This is a chilly-looking pattern, not only on the European model here, but a lot of our modeling for the tail end of November and right into December. Some brief warm-ups shown by the model here by the 2nd, 3rd of December. But overall, the blues tend to outnumber the orange colors as you go out in time. And these colors tend to get a little more muted as you go out in time, of course, because the model solutions contained within this kind of mean or average, they diverge, and so extremes tend to get muted out. So you don't see deep blues typically on day 30 of this model run. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that the second half of November and a good chunk of December, compared to the average, will be pretty cold this year. We'll have more updates on the longer range coming up this week on weather for Weather Geeks. Thanks for watching this evening. I'll see you right back here on Tuesday.